I thought it was over. I told myself that locking him away would be the end of it, but Lazarus was never one to be caged. They said he had no way out, that he was secured in a maximum security prison, stripped of his power, his presence, his hold over me. They were wrong. Lazarus had escaped. The news broke in the early hours of the morning, the kind of call that twists your stomach before you even answer. A prison riot, a massacre. The bodies of guards sprawled in pools of their own blood, their throats opened with surgical precision. The security cameras had gone dark just moments before the chaos began. No footage, no clues. Only one thing remained. A single message scrawled across the walls of his cell in deep crimson streaks. "Did you miss me, Adrian?" My breath hitched as I read those words over and over, my fingers gripping the edges of the newspaper until they trembled. The ink smudged beneath my touch, but the words had already burned themselves into my mind. Lazarus was free. I could almost hear his voice, that smooth, taunting lilt curling around my name like a snake tightening its hold. He had always known this day would come, and in some way, so had I. "Carter," Alex, my partner, called from across the station. "You all right?" I forced myself to unclench my fists, inhaling through my nose. "Yeah, just tired." "You saw the news, didn't you?" Alex's expression darkened as he approached, lowering his voice. "The feds are all over it, but we both know who he's really after." I swallowed hard, nodding. It wasn't just about the escape. Lazarus hadn't vanished into the world like any other fugitive would. No, this was a message, a game. He had left me a breadcrumb trail, and he knew I would follow. Because that's what Lazarus did, and that's what I did too. He always came back, and I always let him. Days passed in silence. No bodies, no taunts, no whispers from the dark. But I felt him. Every moment of every day, his presence curled around me like an invisible noose, tightening with each breath. Then, the first victim appeared. A man found in his apartment, posed like a marionette, his lips curled into an eerie smile. The crime scene was immaculate. No fingerprints, no forced entry, just the lingering scent of iron and something else. Something familiar. And beside him, written on the mirror in bold, deliberate strokes of blood, "You're looking for me, aren't you?" I inhaled sharply. He wasn't just killing. He was toying with me, pulling the strings of an invisible performance where I was both the audience and the unwilling actor. Alex stood beside me, shaking his head. "He's doing this for you. He's always done this for you." I didn't respond, because I knew he was right. As I traced the letters on the mirror, my pulse pounded in my ears. Lazarus was near. He was watching, waiting. And for the first time in years, I wondered if I had been waiting for him too. Weeks of searching led to nothing. He was a ghost, slipping through my fingers like smoke. Every step I took, every move I made, he was already ahead. Until one night, when he wasn't. The moment I stepped into my apartment, I knew. The air was thick with something electric, the scent of something faintly familiar. Him. Then arms wrapped around me from behind. Firm, possessive, a whisper against my ear, low and intoxicating. "I was beginning to think you stopped looking for me, Adrian. That hurt." I tensed, my pulse hammering against my ribs. "Lazarus." "Shh." His fingers trailed along my jaw, tilting my face slightly. "No need for formalities. You and I? We've never been strangers." I should have fought. I should have drawn my weapon, broken free, done something, anything. But I didn't. Because a part of me had been waiting for this, and he knew it. His lips ghosted over my skin, his voice a silken thread that wove itself around my thoughts. "You feel it, don't you? The way we fit. Like we were always meant to end up here." I swallowed, unable to deny the way his presence pulled at something dark and unspoken inside me. "You think you own me?" His chuckle was low, almost tender. "I don't need to own you, Adrian. You were mine before you ever knew it." His grip tightened, a slow, deliberate reminder that I was caught. Not just physically, but in a way much deeper. And despite myself, I couldn't tell if I wanted to escape. I woke up in a dimly lit room, my wrists bound to the bed frame with silk. My heartbeat roared in my ears, but my breath remained steady. I wasn't afraid. Lazarus stood at the foot of the bed, watching me with a slow, satisfied smirk. "There you are. Right where you belong. You're delusional if you think you can keep me here," I muttered, testing the restraints. His expression darkened slightly, but there was no anger, only amusement. "Keep you? Oh, Adrian, I already have you. You've always been mine." He leaned down, brushing his lips along my temple, his breath hot against my skin. "No more running. No more pretending you don't feel it too." I swallowed hard, the weight of his words pressing down on me like a chain I couldn't shake. "You want me to say it, don't you?" I whispered. Lazarus grinned, fingers tracing slow, possessive patterns against my throat. "I don't need you to say it. I just need you to finally accept it." And as much as I hated him, as much as I wanted to fight him, I already had. Lazarus had won. The chains I once believed were metaphorical had become tangible, their grip more suffocating than any steel bars. But the worst part? I no longer fought them. Days bled into nights in the world he had built around me. There was no escape, because there was nowhere I wanted to go. His presence, his voice, his touch, they consumed me, and despite the war that still raged within my mind, my body had surrendered long ago. "You belong to me, Adrian," Lazarus murmured against my skin, his fingers tracing slow, possessive patterns. "And you know it." I exhaled shakily, my heart hammering in protest even as my body leaned into him. "I hate you." He laughed, a dark, satisfied sound. "No, you don't." He was right, because love and hate were two sides of the same coin, and I had long since lost the ability to distinguish between them. This was my fate, a fate I had stopped resisting, because in the end, I had never truly wanted to be free.